Like I said in the first video, I started making beer in a 5 gallon just boil pot. Then after that, we slowly upgraded to better and better pots, bowl kettles, even upgraded burners too. A lot of us probably started with those basic, Lowe's, Home Depot, you know, um, 10 gallon bowl kettles for boiling turkeys. They had a stupid little timer on for safety. I immediately upgraded that burner to this gas one burner up here. My mash tun is just a basic, 10 gallon Home Depot bucket. Uh, so next we're gonna go over boil kettle. So this is a kegel. It was a full keg that I got off Craigslist. Took a grinder and cut off the top portion of it, pulled out the stem, everything in there. These are just well-vest attachments. Just make sure you got some good seals. Bought everything here online. Great, cheap. Essentially, I got the cake for free with what else I got with the deal. But this is definitely something you want to have if you're going to go from a 5 gallon batch to a 10 gallon batch Mark 1, because this line here and this line here all equal five gallons. You got your 5 gallon mark, your 10 gallon mark, and of course you got your 15 up here for your half barrel. But these are great investments, and you can pick them up pretty cheap. If they're going to be dirty, just cut out the top, make sure you got the gas out of them, and you get yourself a new bowl kegel. So this is probably what a lot of us have. You got your standard, I think it's like 35 or 45,000 BTU burner. Got your timer on here, your little start switch, all that good stuff. Yeah, this is not a good burner if you're doing anything over about a 5 gallon batch. My new burner is this guy here. I was going back between the Blickman and all those other name brand guys, and gas one, I think it was like $100 online. It works, it gets really hot, has a regulator that actually allows for full output. But it is definitely a beast. You gotta make sure you have at least 2 tanks of propane on you, because this thing eats up propane, but you're gonna get to a boil fast and you can maintain that boil the entire time. For measuring OG and FG, you got your hydrometer, you also got your refractometer, and then you also got your fancy electric system you can use. Those like $300-400 online. I mostly use this setup here, just because I don't have to get the beer down to a certain temperature. You do have to take into account the alcohol with these things here. But there's calculators online. Also, Beersmith and Brewsmith have those built into their programming. But old school, if this ever goes out, go back to the hydrometer and the beaker. I just don't like that I waste a lot of beer, especially with a 5 gallon batch. You're wasting a pint or a pint and a half just taking OG readings. With this thing here, you just need a couple drops. So I got my wort chiller here, pretty simple. Got a Harbor Freight pump, I think it's like 320 gallons an hour. Got my intake, got my pre-chiller, and then my actual wort chiller that's gonna go into the actual boil pot. Good system, really cheap. I got all the copper off of just Craigslist deals. The Harbor Freight pump came with the green hose and the intake line. You just gotta put this into a cooler with ice. Make sure you got water in it and you're good to go. Beer doesn't touch anything but this copper, so put that in about 10-15 minutes before the boil is over. That sanitizes that. Plug it in. It's not loud. It does the job, and definitely worth the investment. So for fermenters, nothing beats a bucket. They're cheaper, they're the best. Yeah, they're not conical, but if you're just making a home brew, they're great. And when they're done, you can use them for storing water, cleaning, star sand. It's still just a bucket when you get done. I also upgraded to the Fermonsters here. I put myself a temperature strip on here and put the spigot on. These things are great too. Probably about $30-40 depending on the size you get. But they're great. Upgrade to just your standard bucket. You can put a blow-off valve, all that good stuff on there. I mean, you can actually see the fermentation process, which is one thing that your standard bucket does not have. And then lastly, finally, kegging. Standard 5-gallon corner keg. You can pick these things up pretty good online. Sometimes your local homebrew shop will have them either cleaned or uncleaned. Best thing to check is take off these posts and check the O-rings between this and the actual keg itself on both sides. Make sure you're checking your dip tubes. Make sure you get a dip tube cleaning straw. New O-rings for your lid. These things typically go out. Always test them first. But that's just a cheap thing. You buy an O-ring kit for like 5 or 6 kegs online for a couple bucks, and it doesn't take very long to replace out these seals. So when it comes to water, I don't have reverse osmosis. I really don't have much of a other means besides tap water. So what I did is I went to my local hardware store and I bought myself an activated charcoal filter here. It's got a quick disconnect line that comes from my garden hose out, and then I just use a regular hose. That's what I used to make my beer with. So overall, pretty simple system. I said I upgraded the burner, upgraded to the kegel. Some modified kegs, super easy to make. You saw my wort chiller. You saw my mash tun here, my redneck water filtration system here. I just got my big crawfish spoon. That's a really good spoon for using when you're mashing in. Beats those little plastic spoons that break or just get nasty. Really easy system here, cheap. Like I said, I think the only thing I bought new was probably the burner and the mash tun here. Everything else was bought off Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace for pennies, what people paid for them. I do not use glass carboys. I'll say before, I do not bottle. Go straight to kegging. If I need to, I can fill growlers and cans. Put that in another video coming down the road here.